Chapter 40 of The Plum and the Golden Vase. Chongzhen version of the embroidery portrait. The child Pinger is holding a child in her arms, and the maid Jinlian is in love with her. The word says, I planted a blue field jade plant, and it looked very pleasant. Cherish good support from all sides. It's the pearl in your palm. The romance is shocking and new, and the enchantment is different from the old times. When we meet, we laugh like crazy, but few people know. It is said that Yi Yunyang and Mrs. Wang slept on the same bed. Aunt Wang asked Yunyang, how come you haven't seen any happy events? Yunyang said, talk about happy events again. In August, the day before yesterday, I bought a house from a wealthy family of Kiao, so I went there every time to look at it. When he went up the stairs, he slipped and twisted his 67-month-old body. No one has seen Shire again. Aunt Wang said, my grandma is still in shape at 7 months. Yunyang said, I fell into the cask in the middle of the night. The girl and I lit the lamp and looked at it. It was a little boy. Aunt Wang said, my grandma? What a pity. Why is it still twisted? You can't sit still. You are better than others. Look at Liu Niang in front of you. She gave birth to a son soon after entering the house. How good it is. That's all. Aunt Wang said, it doesn't matter. Every time I go with Master Zhu, I will get a piece of medicine. The year before last, Mr. Chen's wife was also middle-aged and had no children. She often gave birth to several miscarriages, which were all in vain. I also took Master Zhu's medicine, and now I have a baby boy. The whole family is very happy. It's just that it's hard to find something. Wang, the sister-in-law, said, I used the clothes of the firstborn child, washed them with wine, burned them to ashes, and accompanied them with talisman medicine. On the day of frenzy, I ate them with rice wine without anyone noticing. It was a good day. I will be pregnant after 1 month. Okay, Yunyang asked. Is this master a male monk or a female monk? Where does he live? Aunt Wang said. He is also a female monk, and he is over 50 years old. Zhang'er has come to live in Fuhuan Nunnery in the south, so he is so virtuous. He has so many scriptures. I will pick him up when he is on his way, and he will not let him out for 10.5 months. Yunyang said, you can ask him to come for a walk tomorrow. Aunt Wang said, I know. I will ask for this talisman for you. The medicine is here. It's hard to find anything here. It's like this. Why don't you take advantage of the child's room and use it? Yunyang said, myself. You can find another place for me and your money. Aunt Wang said, you can only ask me for this. I'll fix the talisman water for you. It's rare that you raise someone else tomorrow. No matter how many stars you have, you can't even tell anyone. Yunyang said, don't tell anyone. After saying it once, Fang fell asleep. One night scene has been mentioned. The next day, Simon Qingda came home from the temple, and Yunyang got up to comb her hair. Yu Xiao took the clothes and sat down. Yunyang said, yesterday, my 6th sister was waiting for you to celebrate your birthday. Why didn't you come? I came first, leaving me and brother Hua, second brother Ying, and Zida. The 2 little friends were playing and singing, and I went to the city first this morning, while second brother Ying and the 3 of them returned. Let's have some wine. I told him once. Yu Xiao passed the tea and ate it. Instead of going to the Yamen, he walked to the study room in front, leaned on the bed and fell asleep. After falling behind, Pan Jinlian and Li Pinger combed their hair, carried their children out, and went to the upper room to have tea with them. Yunyang said to Li Pinger, on the day his father came, I asked him to have tea and food, but he refused to eat. Now he has food. You put your little Taoist priest in his clothes and hug him. Go to the front and have a look with his father. Pan Jinlian said, I'll go too. Wait while I dress the Taoist priest. Then he put on his gold-pinned Taoist bun, put on his Taoist robes, and took the top talisman. Put on your little shoes and socks. Jinlian will take them away. Yunyang said, ask his mother to hold him. Your honey brown peach embroidered skirt cannot withstand stains. Sprinkle some stains on it and it will stain it. Li Pinger hugged Dingguan's brother, and Pan Jinlian followed him to the west wing in front. Inside, when the book boy saw the 2 of them raising the curtain, he quickly hid. Seeing Ximeng King sleeping with his face inward, Jinlian pointed at the child and said, Old flower, you have a good sleep. The little Taoist priest has come to invite you. The eldest mother has put food in the room and asked you to eat it. Why don't you get up quickly? Go to sleep." Simon King, who had been drinking all night, threw his head down and looked at the sky and the earth, snoring like a thunderbolt. Jin Lian and Li Ping'er sat on the bed one by one, putting the child in front of him. They couldn't help but fool around, and soon woke up Simon. I opened my eyes and saw Brother Guan in front of me, wearing a Taoist priest's clothes. Smiling happily, he quickly took it, held it in his arms, and kissed him. Jin Lian said, "I'm so clean, so I'm here to kiss the baby." Little Taoist Wu Ying Yuan, you sneered at him. You said you sent oxen to plow the fields yesterday. Are you so sleepy today? Sleepy in broad daylight? Yesterday you asked Wu Ma to just pay attention waiting for you. How dare you not come to kowtow to Wu Mai? Simon King said, "The wedding ceremony was late yesterday. I thanked you all night. We'll have a drink here today. I want to go to Shangju's house to have a drink." Jin Lian said, "You just don't want to have a drink. Go, come home early in the evening. I'll be waiting for you." Li Ping'er said, "His eldest mother has laid out the meal and made some sour bamboo shoot soup. She'll treat you to a meal." Simon King said, "I don't want to eat yet. Let me go and drink some soup." So he got up and went to the back. When Pan Jinlian saw him, she sat down in the middle of the bed, stepped on the stove and said, "This turns out to be a kang." She reached out and touched the mattress and said, "It's a hot kang." Looking at the copper wire stove for baking inkstones on the table next to her, she took it over and called, "Sister Li, take some of the sweet cakes in the tooth box on the table over there. Come with me." He opened it, put a few in the fire kang, put it in his crotch, took the edge of the skirt and warmed it up. After sitting for a while, Li Ping'er said, "Let's go in. I'm afraid his father will come out after eating." Jin Lian said, "He will come out, right? Are you afraid of him?" So the two of them hugged Brother Guan and went to the back. After a long time, Simon King finished his meal, ordered his troops to prepare their horses, and went to Shangju's house for a drink in the afternoon. Grandma Pan went first. Let's talk about the evening when Aunt Wang is going home. Yunyang quietly gave him a tale of silver and told him not to tell the master aunt, but to ask Aunt Su to bring the talisman medicine. Mrs. Wang took the money and said to Yunyang, "I won't come back until the 16th day. I'll find that thing for you." Yunyang said, "That's fine. You only did it for me. That's it. I'll thank you." Then Zua resigned. The judge heard that any noble family should never promote nuns, and nuns like this. In the deep palace courtyard, accompanied by women, they all used the pretext of talking about scriptures to provide warmth and steal the cold behind their backs. Why not do it? There is poetry to prove it. The most unspeakable thing is that she is coaxing Chanjuan. In the deep palace courtyard, if all of this generation achieves Buddhahood, the West will still be dark. But it was said that Jin Lian walked to the mirror at night, took off her hair and tied it into a bun, painted her face snow white, painted her lips bright red, wore 2 gold lantern pendants, and stuck 3 face flowers on them. My son, wearing a purple pinned gold hoop, found a set of red woven gold ruffles, an emerald blue satin skirt. He wanted to make up the girl and coax the Yunyang and others to play tricks, ask Li Ping'er to come and see him. Li Ping'er laughed so hard that she said, "Sister, you dress up like a girl. I have a red cloth handkerchief in my room to cover your head. When I go back, I will only say dad to them." I found another girl and tried to bluff them, but Guanding believed her. Shamai walked in front of her with a lantern, and when she came to the front of Yemen, she bumped into Chen Jingji and said with a smile, "Who is coming?" "This is Wen Yang. It's a business." Li Ping'er shouted, "Brother-in-law, come here and wait until I tell you. You can go see them first. That's all." Jingji said, "I can coax him." So he walked to the upper room first. Everyone was sitting on the kang, drinking tea, and said to Jingji, "Mom, you see, Dad asked Aunt Su to spend 16 taels of silver for nothing, and bought a 25-year-old sister who can play and sing. I just took it. The sedan is coming." Yunyang said, "Really? Why didn't Sister-in-law Zhu come and tell me first?" Jingji said, "He was afraid that your old man would scold him. So he sent the sedan to the front door, asked them to bring them in." DAQZ didn't say anything, so Miss Young said, "It's enough for the official to have these sisters. What else do you want him to do?" Yunyang said, Good grandma, you have the money. Just buy 100. What's the big deal? We are all wives serving in the army. It's just a few words, Yu Xiao said. Let me take a look. I saw Chamai holding a lantern in the moon field, screaming behind me. Anna came, followed by Li Pinger, wearing red clothes and wearing hijabs. Panicked, Meng Yulu and Li Jiar both came out to take a look. After a long time, he entered the room. Yu Xiao stood next to Yunyang and said, "This is the master. Why don't you kowtow?" While taking off the hijab, Pan Jinlian, who was holding the candle, seemed to be kowtowing and couldn't help but laugh. Yulu said, "Good girl, if you don't kowtow to your master, please laugh." Yunyang smiled and said, "This sixth sister became a spirit and died. You believe me every time you coax me." Yulu said, "I don't believe it." Miss Young said, "Sister, how come you don't believe me?" Yulu said, "My sixth sister has always kowtowed, and I learned how to kowtow and take 2 steps back before bowing." Miss Young said, "It's still my sister. You can see it, so I will believe it." Lear said, "I didn't take off the hijab just now." He was smiling and couldn't recognize him. Just as he was saying this, he saw Qin Tonger being carried into the blanket. Bo Lai said, "Dad is coming home." Meng Yulu said, "You hide in the open room. Wait for him to come in, and wait for me to coax him." After a while, Simon King arrived, and Miss Young and Da Queasy went out, entered the room and sat down on the chairs. Yunyang remained silent. Yulu said, "Today, sister-in-law Zhu brought a 20-year-old girl in a sedan chair. She said that you asked her to send it to her. You are so old and have a bright future. Why do you still do this?" Simon King said with a smile, "Why should I ask him to buy a girl? Do you believe that old whore is coaxing you?" Yulu said, "Are you asking the eldest sister? The girl is also here. I won't coax you. If you don't believe it, I will call you out and you will see." So he called Yu Xiao, "Pull the new girl in to see your father." Yu Xiao covered her mouth and smiled, but did not dare to pull her. She walked away and then came back and said, "He won't come on." Yulu said, "Wait for me to pull him away. You're such a brave slave, but you still don't listen to your master's instructions even if the boss doesn't move." He walked into the bright room. I only heard him say, "You weird dealer." I can't scold him. He won't let people in. He only pulls people in, and his hands and feet are tied. Yulu smiled and said, "Good slave, whose envoy is so unruly that you don't come in to see me. Your master kowtowed. He pulled me in." Simon King opened his eyes to look under the shadow of the lamp, but it was Pan Jinlian wearing a bun and pretending to be a girl, smiling with her eyes wide open. The golden lotus was sitting on the chair next to it. Yulu said, "What a bold girl. When you are new here, you act like an ungrateful person and sit in front of your master." Yunyang said with a smile, "You take advantage of your master to come home and kowtow to him. Come on." The golden lotus didn't move. She walked to Yunyang's inner room, pulled out the hairpin, put on her hair and came out. Yunyang said, "What a slut. If you take advantage of anyone, you will wear a hairdo." Everyone laughed again. Yunyang told Simon King, "Today, Kiao Tong sent 6 invitations to Kiao's parents-in-law's house, inviting us to have dinner and wine on the 12th. Why don't we send some gifts first tomorrow?" Simon King said "Tomorrow morning. Just call Xing'er and buy 4 plates of food and a jar of southern wine to send over. Tomorrow, our family will send out invitations. On the 14th, we will also invite his wife, the wife of Zhou Guard, the wife of Jingdu supervisor." Mrs. Jia and Mrs. Zhang's mother didn't have to go home. They asked the flower maker to come and make some fireworks with Wang Wing's family, and asked him to play the Romance of the West Chamber. Zhang then brought Wu Yin'er and sister Li Gui over. "You guys are watching the lights and having a drink at home. Brother Ying, Zizichen, and I went to have a drink upstairs on Lion Street." After saying that, he put down the table and arranged for the wine to be served. Pan Jinlian handed over the wine, and the sisters ate together. When Simon King saw Jinlian dressed up as a girl, wearing heavy makeup under the lamp, he felt lustful and couldn't help but give him a look. Jinlian knew what it meant, so she went to the front room, went to Guaner, held the Hangzhou Zwan, evened out the powder, and dotted the red lips again. As early as in the room, a table of wine and food was prepared and waiting. After a while, Simon King arrived and saw that the woman was still wearing her bun. He was very happy and sat on the chair with his arms round him, chatting and laughing. After a while, Chun Mai packed up the food and wine. The woman offered him wine again. Simon King said, "You little greasy mouth. I've just handed you over. I'll teach you to worry about it." Jin Lian smiled and said, "Wine doesn't count in that group. This is a slave family business. I'll pass you a few glasses of wine. New Year's Eve, you've spent a lot of money, so don't complain." Simon King laughed so hard that he quickly took his drink and sat on his knees. Chun Mai pours wine and Qiu Ju brings vegetables. Jin Lian said, "Let me ask you, on the 12th day, I will go to the Kiao family's invitation. Only the eldest sister will go?" Simon King said, "He will invite everyone as soon as possible. Why don't you go? Tomorrow, I will invite you." I took my brother and went for a walk, so that I wouldn't have to worry about my mother crying at home. Jin Lian said, "Sister, they all have clothes to wear, but I only have a few clothes, none of which are worth mentioning. When Xinzi comes, the family will scatter a few pieces and let us wear them. Just leave them alone. Why don't we have a baby? Tomorrow we will have wine at our house and invite all the officials and ladies, so that we can see him. Don't make people laugh. I'm just saying, you're making a fool of yourself." Simon King said with a smile, "Since you're so embarrassed, I'll call Mr. Zhao over tomorrow and I'll cut it off with you." Jin Lian said, "It won't happen until tomorrow. Ask the tailor to do it. It's only 2 days away. It's too late." Simon King said, "Tell Tailor Zhao to bring a few more people and make 2 or 3 pieces for you. The rest will be enough. It's not too late to do it slowly." Jin Lian said, "I told you before, at least choose 2 colored clothes for me. It's hard for me to compare with them. You don't have any big clothes on me." Simon King said with a smile, "You little greasy mouth. Go and pinch him wherever you go." The 2 talked and drank, and then went to bed at the first watch. The 2 of them were like mandarin ducks under the quilt and phoenixes in the tent, and they went crazy for half the night. The next day, Simon King came back from the Yamen, opened the cabinet, and took out the gross grain ruler woven in the south. Each person makes a robe with colorful sleeves, a set of brocade clothes all over the ground, and a set of clothes with colorful flowers. But Yunyang wore 2 sets of bright red brocade robes with sleeves all over the floor, and 4 sets of colorful clothes. In the rolling shed, he asked Zhao Kai to come. When Mr. Zhao saw Simon King, he kowtowed quickly. The table was covered with felt strips, and I took out the scissors and cut out Yunyang's clothes first. A bright red coat with brocade, and 5 colored makeup flowers all over the sleeves. A beast-like unicorn patchwork satin gown, a black and multicolored gold-colored gourd like Luan, and Phoenix, wearing a flowered robe. A bright red satin coat with gold patches all over the ground. A white emerald blue skirt with gold patches all over the floor. A set of agarwood-colored makeup patchwork, with brocade patches all over the place. A bright red, gold, green leaves and 100 flowers trailing mud skirt. The remaining 4, Li Jiar, Meng Yulu, Pan Jinlian, and Li Ping'er, all had a red and colorful satin robe with golden pheasant flowers on the sleeves, and 2 sets of gross grain clothes with colorful flowers. Sun Sui only had 2 sets, but she didn't match him. A total of 30 pieces of clothing were cut in a moment. I exchanged 5 taels of silver and worked with Mr. Zhao for wages. On the one hand, I asked a dozen tailors to make it at home. Exactly, a girl is adorned with golden bells and jade, and a beautiful baby is adorned with brocade beads.
Alright, this part of the story ends here.
Want to know what happened next? Let's listen to the breakdown next time.